The day after my husband Zhou Yang and I got married, the whole family was having dinner. My mother-in-law suddenly sighed and said that there were more and more people eating, and it was too tiring to cook for the whole family. Let's take turns between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law in the future. I didn't say anything and continued to eat my meal. My mother-in-law raised her voice a few degrees and continued to say that as more people eat, the expenses will increase. Your father and I don't have enough pension, so you have to pay for the food. What do you think, eldest daughter-in-law? My mother-in-law has already called me, so I must express my opinion. Okay, Mom, you calculate how much our two families should give you, Zhou Yang and brother-in-law. My mother-in-law held her face and glared at me, saying that your brother-in-law and his wife still have to raise children, so how can they have money to pay for living expenses? You are the eldest sister-in-law, so be considerate of your brother-in-law. You have to pay for the living expenses yourself. Hearing this, I snorted and laughed. My sister-in-law Li Wan cried to me, Sister-in-law, you don't know how much it costs to raise a son. Zhou Ku and I don't have enough salary. If we had money, we would definitely pay for it. The brother-in-law wanted to say something, but Li Wan glared at him and he buried his head in his meal again. The mother-in-law comforted Li Wan and said, Why do you have to pay for living expenses? Mom knows you don't have money to raise children. She also said to me, shouting, Huan came in earlier than you and does more work than you. She has to take care of the children after get off work. You will be responsible for making dinner in the future. Seeing that I didn't say anything, the mother-in-law thought I tacitly agreed to the decision. Then it's settled. The eldest brother, you two are both capable, and you can give 5,000 yuan to the family as living expenses every month. The second brother's family has to raise children, so no money will be given. Shouting will be responsible for making dinner and washing dishes after get off work every day. I knew my mother-in-law didn't like me or even hated me, but I didn't expect her to put on airs the day after I got married. I worked hard for my career and took on pressure from all sides before getting married at the age of 32. Not to be a punching bag. I put the chopsticks heavily on the table, looked around at the people at the table and said, before I got married, Zhou Yang didn't pay for living expenses, and my brother-in-law's family didn't pay for money. As soon as I got married, they shouted for money, which meant that I had to pay. It's true that Li Wan got married early, but she didn't serve me, so whoever asked her to serve should pay it back. My mother-in-law and Li Wan stared at each other, probably didn't expect me to say that. Before my mother-in-law could speak, I said, Mom, I can't get used to the food you make. I won't give you food expenses when I eat out in the future. As for cooking, I'm busy at work and can't do it every day. The mother-in-law yelled at her husband with a sad face, Zhou Yang, look at the good wife you married. But she actually talked back to me, the mother-in-law. I have said long ago that women who are too powerful should not be married. Although I am successful in my career and look good, my mother-in-law thinks that I am old and ambitious, and I am not worthy of her 30-year-old son. She always treats me with a nose and eyes. The husband said with a confused face, Mom, I think what shouting said is right. Eating out is less cooking for one person, and she doesn't cook every day at her parents' home. The mother-in-law yelled, how can the in-laws' home be the same as the parents' home? The husband was even more confused. Didn't you say that you treat shouting as your own daughter? Whatever she does at her parents' home, she will still be the same at her in-laws' home. She does everything according to your wishes. The mother-in-law was so angry at Zhou Yang's stupid look that she couldn't say anything. I laughed out loud without any hesitation. I just like Zhou Yang's serious look. My husband told my mother-in-law that she didn't need to cook my meals anymore. I would eat with my wife. When I was about to go upstairs, I asked my parents again, do I need to pay for accommodation when Zhou Yang and I live at home? Do we need to pay for water, electricity, and network fees? Otherwise, we should move out. My parents-in-law built a 3-story house in the ancestral home in the suburbs. 1 floor is for the 2 sons. My brother-in-law didn't buy a house when he got married, so he lived with his parents-in-law. Zhou Yang and I wanted to move out after we got married, but my parents-in-law disagreed. My mother also advised me that your brother-in-law's family didn't move out. If you move out before you get married, outsiders will definitely say that you are unfilial. Just live here first and move out when you have the chance. My mother-in-law had a dark face and didn't say a word. It was my father-in-law who spoke up. Whatever you pay, just live at home with peace of mind. Now that I have come to this, I can't move out. When I was on the 2nd floor, I heard the voices of my mother-in-law and Li Wan coming from downstairs. Oh, I am so angry. This unfilial daughter-in-law should be struck by lightning. Your brother is also an ungrateful wolf. He married a wife and forgot his mother. Don't be angry, Mom. If the eldest sister-in-law doesn't do it, I will do it. You rest or Huan, you are sensible and filial. Mom loves you for nothing. Tomorrow I have to go out and chat with the old sisters. My Zhou family is unfortunate to marry a wicked daughter-in-law. You say bad things about people behind their backs and want to ruin my reputation. Let me see how I deal with you. I I stepped back a few steps so that the people below could see me. I said puzzledly, Mom, why do I hear you and your sister-in-law scolding me? I don't understand my mother-in-law's reaction, and I said that I must have heard it wrong. You can tell at first glance that my mother and my sister-in-law are not the kind of gossips who talk bad about people behind their backs. They were talking so animatedly that the two mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law were speechless. After about 10 seconds, the mother-in-law said uncomfortably, You must have heard it wrong. I was just praising you. If you don't believe me, ask Juan Juan. Li Juan hurriedly nodded like a chicken pecking at rice and said, Yes, I was just praising you. Most people would definitely take over this. I'm not an ordinary person. I quickly went downstairs, walked up to my mother-in-law and asked excitedly, Mom, what are you praising me for? I want to hear you say that again. My father-in-law was drinking soup and choked immediately. My mother-in-law looked like she had seen a ghost. She stared at me with wide eyes. Mom, say it quickly, I can't wait to hear it. The corners of my mother-in-law's mouth twitched a few times, and finally she said in a buzzing voice, I praise you for being smart and capable. If you have the guts, I'll ask you. Is that all? I vaguely heard you say something about filial piety. Did I hear it wrong again? The corners of my mother-in-law's mouth twitched slightly and said, You're filial. You're a rare good daughter-in-law. Face facing my gaze, my mother-in-law showed an ugly expression as if she had eaten shit, and nodded at me. I asked my father-in-law again. My parents said that I was filial, smart and capable. What do you think? My father-in-law paused while wiping his mouth, and said that your mother was right, and then he stood up and walked out the door without looking back. I was satisfied and said to my mother-in-law, Mom, you and father-in-law are so great. I must show off in front of the neighbors tomorrow that I have a good pair of parents-in-law. My mother-in-law hurriedly waved her hands and said, Say no, it's enough for family members to know, don't tell anyone outside. I don't agree with horse stealing, don't worry, I will publicize every word of your praise of me, so that those young wives and big girls will envy me for having a good mother-in-law. After saying that, I ran upstairs, rushed back to the room and lay on the bed laughing. The next day I kept my word. When I met a neighbor, I told him what my parents-in-law said about me. Within half a day, more than a dozen families around knew about it. I wanted to see how my mother-in-law would ruin my reputation. If my parents-in-law zamabana, to say that I am unfilial is to slap oneself in the face. With how much they care about their reputation, they would never do such a thing even if they are beaten to death. When I got off work, I met an old lady at the door who said to my mother-in-law, Sister, I want to take you as an example and be a good mother-in-law. Then she left in style. My mother-in-law's face twitched. She looked at the old lady's back as she walked away and couldn't say anything. The next day, I saw a blister at the corner of my mother-in-law's mouth. It's obvious that she was feeling aggrieved. I, Zhou Yang, have been eating here for about a month, and my mother-in-law didn't say anything about it. If I hadn't heard my mother-in-law say to Li Wan one day, If your eldest brother and the others want to come home for dinner in the future, I will ask Xiaoting to pour me tea and kneel down to admit my fault before she agrees, I still wouldn't have known that my mother-in-law was holding her breath and wanted me to admit my fault. To this I replied in my heart, What the hell are you dreaming about? That day will never come in this life. Li Wan always said that she worked overtime at the company and came home late, and my mother-in-law was afraid that her eldest grandson and youngest son would be hungry. In the end, the matter of cooking it all fell on her own head. When I got home on Friday, my mother-in-law and her family had just finished their meal. My father-in-law wiped his mouth and went out for a walk. My brother-in-law and his family also went upstairs. My mother-in-law called me shouting and said, Mom sprained her waist while working today. Your sister-in-law has to take care of the children and is not available. Look at all the dishes and chopsticks. I understood what my mother-in-law meant. She just wanted me to wash the dishes. It was nothing to wash the dishes, but my mother-in-law actually acted like a tyrant to me, saying that her waist was sprained. She had just met the aunt next door. She also said that my mother-in-law won money by playing cards all afternoon. What's more, my sister-in-law has to take care of the children. My nephew is 6 years old. What else can I do? She carried me on her back and treated me like a fool. That wouldn't do. I glanced at my husband and said to him, Zhou Yang, go wash the dishes. My mother-in-law refused, saying that he was a grown man. How could he enter the kitchen? These were women's things. My mother-in-law held her waist while doing her work and said sarcastically, I have a hard life. I used to get up early and go to bed late to serve the three of them. It's not easy for my son to marry. I rolled my eyes when I heard that my mother-in-law was not the daughter-in-law who brought her suffering. Who can you blame for bringing you suffering? I stepped forward and held my mother-in-law's hand and said, Mom, you really should enjoy your life. My mother-in-law immediately smiled and handed me the rag. Let me make it clear. Then the dishes and chopsticks are handed over to you. Mom, go lie down for a while. I handed the rag to my husband and said, Why is Zhou Yang so ignorant? Mom has worked hard for you for half her life. Now it's time for him to enjoy his life. In the future, you have to rush to do the housework. My husband wiped the table neatly, and I said before my mother-in-law could speak, Mom, don't feel sorry for Zhou Yang. Feeling sorry for men will make us women suffer in the end. I forced my mother-in-law to go to the bedroom. Mom, where does it hurt? Let me give you a massage. Let me tell you I've learned it. Didn't you say your waist hurts? Then I, as a good daughter-in-law, have to give you a good massage. I forced my mother-in-law to go to the bedroom. Mom, where does it hurt? Let me give you a massage. Let me tell you I've learned it. Didn't you say your waist hurts? Then I, as a good daughter-in-law, have to give you a good massage. I pressed her on the bed, kneaded her waist gently, and when she moaned in comfort, I unexpectedly increased my strength. She screamed, "Oh, eldest daughter-in-law, do you want to hurt me to death? How could I have such a vicious daughter-in-law like you?" I said innocently, "Mom, you have wronged me. The pain means that it is effective. Bear with it and press a few more times. I guarantee that you will feel better when you wake up tomorrow morning." I continued to massage my mother-in-law while laughing secretly. She kept crawling forward in pain, shouting. She yelled, "I don't want to massage you anymore. Please get up quickly, it hurts so much." I tried to persuade her earnestly. My mother said, "Good medicine tastes bitter but is good for the disease. The same goes for massage. The more it hurts, the better the effect." My mother-in-law is very thin, and I exercise regularly. I pulled her feet and easily pulled her back to her original position. My mother-in-law cried out in pain. Every time she tried to turn over and avoid me, I had to push her back and continue to ravage her. I only stopped when Zhou Yang finished washing the dishes and came to my mother-in-law's bedroom to find me. Zhou Yang came in and asked puzzledly what you were doing. I kept hearing my mother calling in the kitchen. My mother-in-law had tears in her eyes and said weakly, "Son, you are finally here. Your daughter-in-law wanted to murder my mother, and I almost lost sight of you." My mother-in-law's listless look almost made me laugh out loud. I turned my head and coughed, then said, "Mom, isn't your waist sprained?" I gave her a massage. "It's all my fault that I didn't know how to control the strength and hurt our mom." My mother-in-law yelled, "Is that a massage? You were dancing on my back in high heels. You are trying to kill me." I argued aggrievedly, "Mom, how can it be effective without using force?" My husband also agreed. "Mom, doesn't massage require force?" Seeing that my mother-in-law was in better spirits, I couldn't help laughing and asked, "Mom, does it hurt less?" "If it still hurts, it proves that the massage is not in place and you have to continue." My mother-in-law gritted her teeth and squeezed out a sentence. "Much better, you guys go upstairs and have a rest." When I was about to go out, I said to my mother-in-law again, "Mom, in the future if you have any back pain or leg pain, you can come to me. I have good massage skills." My silly husband was still muttering, "I had a back pain once and shouting also massaged me." You won't believe it, it didn't hurt much the next day. My mother-in-law was so angry that she didn't want to talk to us. She kept waving her hands and asked us to leave. I stopped while I was ahead and left quickly. From that day on, my mother-in-law no longer bothered me. I also often bought some fruits home, but they were gone the next day. I knew who took them away, but I didn't want to care so much. But then something happened that made me completely explode, and I found a reason to move out. Because of the company's business needs, I was on a business trip for half a month. I got home at 12 noon on Saturday. When I was tidying up my things, I found a small amount of things in the closet. I asked my husband, who was reading a book, "Have you seen the cheongsam that my best friend gave me on my 30th birthday? It was designed and sewed by my best friend herself. She has settled abroad. It is very likely that we won't see each other anymore, so I cherish that skirt very much. No, you know I won't touch your things." I frowned. Could it be that there was a thief? That shouldn't be the case. There are people at home every day. Even if there was a thief, why wouldn't the thief steal a cheongsam from the jewelry placed on the table? I remembered that my mother-in-law would sometimes come upstairs to clean, so I went downstairs to ask my mother-in-law, who was having dinner, "Have you seen a beige ankle-length cheongsam in my closet, which is embroidered with gardenias?" My mother-in-law glared at me and quickly replied that she hadn't seen it. She threw her chopsticks away, cursed her own things with a dark face, and asked me what I was doing. Could it be that I, a mother-in-law, would take your torn skirt? Why did you react so strongly? If I didn't see it, then I didn't see it. But I can't say that. I can only apologize and say, "Mom, why would I think so? I guess I remembered the wrong place." I went upstairs to look for it again, but my brother-in-law spoke. Juan, why do I remember that a few days ago, Mom took a bright skirt? For you, I looked over and found a trace of panic on Li Wan's face, but she quickly returned to normal. My brother-in-law scolded you until you were deaf. My sister-in-law was talking about the long cheongsam. Mine was a short cheongsam that reached the knees. My mother-in-law said angrily, Juan has contributed a lot to this family. As a mother-in-law, can't I buy her a skirt? My mother-in-law looked at me meaningfully after she finished speaking. I didn't care. Didn't she just want to say that I didn't contribute to this family? Who cares about the skirt you gave me? As long as I want, I can afford 1,000 or 800. My mother-in-law and I were fed up with each other, raised our feet to go upstairs, but my brother-in-law said in a very affirmative tone, "What Mom gave you was a long skirt. My eyes are very good." Xiaojun also saw it, right Xiaojun? The nephew stuffed a mouthful of food in his mouth, muttered, "Yes, it's a long skirt, so beautiful." The sister-in-law patted the nephew on the back, scolded, "Your mother's skirt, I don't even know the length. You father and son must have seen it wrong." My nephew put down his bowl and chopsticks angrily and rushed upstairs. I also walked upstairs immediately. In the living room on the second floor, I met my nephew holding a skirt. scratching his head and talking to himself. Did I really see it wrong? Shouldn't be like this. I took a quick look and it looked so much like mine. To confirm, I walked up and said, Xiaojun, can you show it to me? I took the skirt and looked through it carefully. Except that it was a little shorter, it was exactly the same as mine. Just as I was looking through it, a hand snatched the skirt away from behind. A shrill voice rang out. Sister-in-law, this is my skirt. You said it's not yours. You have to pay for it if it's dirty. Thinking of what I saw in the sun just now, I was 100% sure that this was my skirt. With a gloomy face, I stared at Li Wan without blinking and asked my sister-in-law, Are you sure this is your skirt? Of course it is. I picked it out myself when Mom and I went shopping. She lied with her eyes flickering, and said at the end obviously her tone was not enough. I continued to ask, Really? Where did you buy it? I also want to buy one. Li Wan took a step back, not daring to look me in the eye. I said it was out of stock and the boss said it was the last one. After saying this, Li Wan yelled directly downstairs, Mom, come up quickly. My sister-in-law insisted that my skirt was hers. The mother-in-law ran upstairs in 2 steps, and before she could catch her breath, she started cursing at me. He shouting, Are you blind? Can't you see that this is a short skirt? I stepped back a few steps to avoid getting spit on me and said word by word, Mom, you and I all know the truth. As for the length, don't you know how to make clothes? It's not difficult for you to shorten the skirt. When the mother-in-law heard this, she lay on the ground and began to cry. Oh, I won't live anymore, daughter-in-law, you must accuse me, the mother-in-law, of stealing her skirt. The sisters-in-law followed suit and cried to the sister-in-law, If you like this skirt, I'll just give it to you. Why? How could they accuse me and my mother-in-law of stealing? Although I am poor, I have great ambitions. The quarrel between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law alarmed the rest of the people, and they all came to the second floor. The father-in-law frowned and scolded the mother-in-law who was rolling on the ground, telling her to get up quickly and not to be ashamed. The mother-in-law cried even harder. The old man had no face to live. I might as well die if I was wrongly accused of being a thief at such an old age. The sister-in-law chided him and cried, Dad, the skirt my mother gave me, but my eldest sister-in-law insisted that it was hers. She said in her words that my mother and I stole her skirt. I have been in the Zhou family for 7 years. Everyone knows what kind of person I am. How could I steal my eldest sister-in-law's skirt? I stood aside without saying a word, watching their performance silently. My father-in-law, who was usually kind to me, asked me Xiaoping with a dark face, What's the matter? Is what your mother and the others said true? I nodded and replied, Dad, the skirt in your sister-in-law's hand is mine. The mother-in-law stopped lying down, stood up and shouted, Why do you say it's yours? Where is the evidence? The father-in-law said, Daughter-in-law, since you say it is yours, then produce evidence, you can't just talk nonsense. And the mother-in-law also said arrogantly, If you can't produce evidence, you have to pour me tea, kneel down and admit your mistake. I rolled my eyes, walked to Li Wan, took the skirt and walked towards the balcony. A magical scene appeared. The originally white gardenia slowly turned pink under the sun. I received this kind of silk thread embroidered with fantasy silk from my friend. One of its characteristics is that it can change color under the sun. My husband nodded and said, Yes, I know. The mother-in-law was still stubborn and said that when we bought it, the boss also said that the skirt was embroidered with some fantasy silk and could change color under the sun. Li Wan nodded wildly and said, Yes, the boss said so and I didn't care. This can't prove that this is your skirt. Seeing that they would not cry until they saw the coffin, I turned the skirt over directly. Under the sun, something slowly appeared on the skirt. I pointed at the clothes and scolded the two of them. Tell me, which store is it from? I bought the goods in the market. I have to ask the boss where he got the goods, and why there are my name and my friend's name on them. My best friend's grandmother is a master who is proficient in double-sided embroidery. My friend's material was passed down from her grandmother. In order to commemorate our friendship, she took great pains to surround our two names and embroider them inside the cheongsam. Now there is only my name on the skirt, and only my best friend's surname is left. Looking at the short skirt, I wanted to slap the old woman and Li Wan twice, and pinched my thigh hard. The severe pain brought me back to my sanity. When the names of the mother-in-law and Li Wan appeared on the skirt, they stopped talking. The father-in-law pointed at the skirt, then at the mother-in-law and shouted, What's going on? How could the skirt of the eldest son's wife become the skirt of the second son's wife? You tell me. Even though the father-in-law doesn't usually take charge of the household, this shout still scared the mother-in-law and made her tremble. The corners of her mouth twitched a few times and finally she whispered, I'm not looking at the eldest son's wife's clothes and skirt. There are so many and I haven't seen how she wears them. What's wrong with being the eldest sister-in-law giving a skirt to her younger sister-in-law? At the end of the sentence she even said it as a matter of course. My suppressed temper completely broke out and I angrily yelled, My clothes and skirts have nothing to do with you. Why do you give my things to others? Don't think that I won't dare to do anything to you just because you are Zhou Yang's mother. If you push me into a corner, I will still turn my face against you. I pointed at Li Wan and yelled, You are full of bad intentions. You always think about other people's things. Chuando mother-in-law takes advantage of our eldest wife. I am not someone who can be bullied. After that, I slapped her hard and my hand was numb. You bitch, why do you hit me? Li Wan yelled. Grasshopper, why do you hit me? Li Wan yelled. Have you made enough trouble? You deserve the slap from your eldest sister-in-law. Li Wan covered her face and cried and yelled. Zhou, you actually dared to hit me. Are you having an affair with that bitch He Xiaoping? Hearing this, I could not help but slap Li Wan in the face and cursed. People with dirty thoughts think everything is dirty. If you say another word, I will tear your mouth apart. My husband also said angrily. Li Wan, you couldn't find a job, and I used my connections to help you find one. Not only are you ungrateful, but you also slandered my wife. Do you know what will happen to Xiaoping if your words just now get out? He will be crushed by rumors and scolded to death by keyboard warriors. Li Wan just covered her face and cried without saying a word. I directly pointed out Li Wan's little thoughts. Humph, he hopes that you will never get married so that after your death, all your property will belong to his son. I suddenly intercepted and shattered his beautiful dream. It's because he doesn't like me and wishes I would die. When I first arrived at Zhou Yang's house, I found that Li Wan had an inexplicable hostility towards me, always intentionally or unintentionally. She said that I was too old to have children, which made Zhou Yang's mother very dissatisfied with me. Later, I met him and said to myself, please God bless Zhou Yang to never get married and have no children. Only then did I know his vicious thoughts. I guess other people in the family didn't know. Li Wan was obviously panicked and cursed. You bitch, don't talk nonsense. When did I have such an idea? Mom, dad, brother, Zhou, believe me, I really didn't think about it. It was all He Xiaoting's nonsense. But her guilty look could be seen by anyone with eyes. The mother-in-law rushed up and grabbed Li Wan, saying, you have such good hair. Turns out you have such vicious thoughts. I thought you were filial. Bah, you said in front of me intentionally or unintentionally that you wanted the same one but couldn't buy it. So I thought about getting it. It was you who said to shorten the skirt. You were using me as a gun. I had no intention of watching the big celebration that was about to happen. I took the skirt and went upstairs. When I got to the room, I said to my husband, Zhou Yang, I wanted to move out. I couldn't live under the same roof with your mother anymore. Zhou Yang said okay, but don't mention it. I'll find time to tell my parents. I finally found a chance to move out. Before that, I have to teach my mother-in-law a lesson, and the opportunity is right in front of me. Sunday is second Aunt Zhou Yang's 50th birthday. Most relatives and friends will go to her house for dinner to celebrate. It was already 11 o'clock when we drove to second aunt's house, and most of the relatives had arrived. Seeing mother-in-law handing the red envelope to second aunt, I rushed up and said loudly, Mom, you really have the style of an eldest sister-in-law. You prepared double gifts for second aunt. You two have a great relationship. Everyone around looked over. Here, come here. I took out a jewelry box and said to the confused mother-in-law, Mom, didn't you keep talking about preparing a big gift for second aunt at home? Who knew you were in a hurry to leave and actually forgot? Fortunately, I saw it and brought it to you. Mother-in-law looked at me puzzledly and asked, what is that? And wanted to reach out to take the box. I pretended not to see it and opened the box and handed it to second aunt. Second aunt, take a look. Do you like it? My mother took a long time to choose Aunt Man's. Second aunt was stunned when she saw the things in the river. Her eyes widened. She looked at mother-in-law and said, Sister-in-law, how can you say this? It's too expensive. You can't accept it. The people standing behind second aunt saw it and exclaimed. Most people like to join in the fun. All the relatives gathered around, wanting to see what it was, but I deliberately stopped them. The mother-in-law was blocked at the periphery and didn't see anything. I advised the second aunt, you must accept it. My mother said that she had a conflict with you in the past and always wanted to apologize to you, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. So on your birthday, she prepared a gift for you to apologize. If you don't accept it, it means you don't forgive her. Seeing this, the relatives around advised, Shufan, just accept it. No matter what conflicts your sister-in-law had with you in the past, don't mention it after today. Shufan, since your sister-in-law is sincere about giving it to you, just accept it. I took out the thing and put it on the second aunt's hand, praising her. Oh, second aunt, look how suitable it is and how beautiful it is. The second aunt was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. She kept looking around and said, Where is your mother, Shouting? She hurriedly said, I'm sorry, my mother deliberately ran to the back to hide. The relatives automatically made way for the second aunt. With tears in her eyes, my aunt walked towards my mother-in-law, who was still confused, and said, Sister-in-law, I was wrong before. I like the gift you gave me very much. My mother-in-law followed my second aunt's line of sight to look at her hand and was stunned. She exclaimed, Oh, what a big gold bracelet, but I have never bought one. I leaned close to my mother-in-law's ear and whispered that I gave it to you specially to save face in front of relatives and friends. My mother-in-law thought that I bought the bracelet, so I didn't spend her money and got the reputation for nothing. She said modestly to the relatives, As the eldest sister-in-law, I have to take care of my younger brothers and sisters more. It's my duty. She looked at me specially after saying that. I nodded and said, Mom is so right. A relative joked to my mother-in-law, I usually thought you were stingy and loved to take advantage of you, but now I see that you are very generous. Zhou Yang's second grandmother praised my mother, saying that it was a great blessing for our Zhou family to marry you. My second uncle was also very touched, saying that my eldest sister-in-law had made you spend a lot of money. Other relatives also praised her, saying that the relationship between you has been so good in the past 2 weeks, even sisters would feel ashamed. My father-in-law also looked at my mother-in-law with approval. Looking at my mother-in-law's smug smile, I kept saying to myself, laugh, laugh. The happier you are now, the sadder you will be later. It was already 7 o'clock when the whole family returned home, and the smile on my mother-in-law's face never stopped. In the living room on the first floor, my mother-in-law stopped me and said, "You were disrespectful to me as a mother-in-law yesterday. I wanted you to kneel down and apologize before I could forgive you. But seeing that you tried hard to please me today, I forgave you." I laughed out loud and said disdainfully, "You stole my things and you still want me to kneel down and apologize? Are you dreaming? Let me tell you, your second aunt's bracelet is yours. I took it from your room." The mother-in-law yelled and ran back to her room. "Hey," he shouting, "you actually stole my bracelet and gave it to your second aunt." The mother-in-law screamed and ran towards me with a ferocious face. I replied to her calmly, "I learned it from you anyway. You have so many bracelets, I haven't seen you wear them. Besides, you are the eldest sister-in-law. What's wrong with giving a bracelet to your sister-in-law?" The mother-in-law yelled, "Can it be the same? Yours is a torn skirt, mine is a gold bracelet worth tens of thousands." I looked at her and yelled in my heart, "The bracelet is also a torn thing. You are heartbroken now. Why didn't you show mercy when you took my skirt? Today I'm just tit for tat." Li Wan, probably trying to save her image in everyone's mind, with a stern face, "Teach me a lesson, sister-in-law. How can we, as daughters-in-law, argue with the mother-in-law? Look how angry you make mom." She rolled her eyes at Li Wan and cursed. "What's it to you what I do as a daughter-in-law? Didn't you get enough of yesterday's lesson? Get out." The mother-in-law couldn't do anything with me. She could only cover her chest and groan. "Oh, my chest hurts. Boss, are you just going to watch your wife bully me like this?" The husband looked at me, then at his mother, and finally said, "Mom, I know you are pretending. I have seen your medical examination form, and all the indicators are very good. Oh, I don't want to live anymore." The son who was raised with great effort has forgotten his mother after getting married. The mother-in-law sobbed and cried to the father-in-law again, "Old man, are you just going to watch me being bullied like this? I have been married to you for more than 40 years and gave birth to 2 sons for you. You have no conscience." The father-in-law took a puff of cigarette coldly, then spit it out and smoked. I couldn't see his expression in the fog. I just heard him say, "How do you want me to take care of this? Beat your son and ask him to divorce. It was your fault as a mother-in-law. Who told you to take Shouting's clothes without permission? From yesterday to now, you haven't said a word of apology to Shouting. If I say so, this is how you should be punished." I smiled and said to my father-in-law, "Dad is still sensible." My mother-in-law was still worried about her gold bracelet, and she cried and yelled at me, "I don't care. He's shouting, give my bracelet back." I bought it with great difficulty by saving money. I shrugged my shoulders, spread my hands and said, "All relatives know that you gave the bracelet to my second aunt. If you want it back, you have to go and ask for it in person. I can't do anything." Even if my mother-in-law could really do such a shameless thing, my father-in-law would definitely stop her. My mother-in-law lay on the ground, throwing a tantrum like a 3-year-old child. "Get out, she's crying about my big gold bracelet." Seeing that no one is here to help us, mother-in-law, Li Wan squatted down and pulled her mother-in-law and said, "Mom, get up quickly. The ground is cold. Be careful not to catch a cold." Li Wan probably didn't know that a dog will bite anyone it sees when it gets mad. The mother-in-law's eyes lit up and she grabbed Li Wan tightly, saying excitedly, "If you weren't wearing too much, I would have taken your sister-in-law's skirt, and she wouldn't have taken my gold bracelet, so you must compensate me with a gold bracelet of the same weight." Li Wan's face was stiff, and she tried desperately to get rid of the clutches of her mother-in-law. She said with a sad face, "Mom, neither the skirt nor the bracelet is mine. Why should I compensate you for the bracelet? Besides, I don't have any money. How can someone who has grabbed the rope of hope let go easily?" I looked at Li Wan's fair hands that were scratched by the mother-in-law and bleeding. "It hurts so much, you deserve it." The brother-in-law, who hadn't spoken since he entered the door, made the final decision. "This one my wife caused the trouble, I will be responsible for it." She bowed to me and Zhou Yang and said, "Brother and sister-in-law, I apologize to you on behalf of Li Wan. I'm sorry." Then she said to the 2 mother-in-law and daughter-in-law who were entangled, "Mom, please get up soon. I will buy you the bracelet." The mother-in-law got up quickly and looked at her brother-in-law expectantly. "I knew that my youngest son was filial. Mom will go with you to choose tomorrow." Li Wan yelled with an angry look, "If you don't have money, you can't buy it. It's not me who took the bracelet. Why should we buy it? If you dare to buy it, I will take my son back to my parents' home." The mother-in-law put her hands on her hips and scolded Li Wan, "Go back if you have the guts. I still want to talk to your parents. How do you educate your daughter? She is thinking about her uncle's property and her sister-in-law's things. A good family has been disturbed by you." The angry Li Wan was like an abandoned balloon, drowning in an instant. The father-in-law slammed the table and said, "Okay, let's just drop the matter here. No one should mention it again. I believe you have learned your lesson and will not make the same mistake again. Shouting, your mother is old, she knows she was wrong, so don't bother with her." We are from the two old families, so be down to earth in the future and don't think about anything else. It's been a long day, let's go to bed. I signaled to my husband with my eyes that it was her turn to express her opinion. My husband coughed and talked about my parents, shouting and I should move out. The father-in-law looked at me with cloudy eyes. I said without fear, it's impossible. Pretend nothing happened. The relationship between me, my mother and Li Wan will never be the same as before. The atmosphere was stagnant for a moment, and I chuckled again and said, even if we move out, aren't we still a family? The father-in-law was silent for a while and slowly he said, let me think about it. You both should go to bed. I said, okay. Dad, you and Mom should go to bed early too. I knew my father-in-law would agree. I went to work as usual on Monday. I didn't eat out after get off work. When I got home, my mother-in-law had already prepared the meal. My father-in-law said, tonight, let's put aside the past unhappiness and have a good meal together. After dinner, Li Wan and I took the initiative to clean up the dishes. When we came out, my father-in-law said, the eldest son's family has moved out, and the second son's family has also started cooking. Your mom and I both have pensions, so you don't need to worry about our lives. When we are too old to move, the rich from both families can contribute money, and the strong can contribute physical strength. My husband nodded and said, Mom and Dad, even if I move out, I'm still your son. I also said, our parents raised us when we were young, and we will take care of our parents when they are old. This is eternal. Both sons have started their own families, it's time for you, and Mom to enjoy your life. My brother-in-law also said that Mom and Dad don't have to worry about us, we will live a good life. Li Wan shouted that I have to go to work, what about Xiaojun? My brother-in-law immediately said that I will go to work at 9 o'clock and be responsible for sending Xiaojun to school, and you will get off work at 5:30 and be responsible for picking him up. Whoever rests on weekends will take care of the child. In this way, Zhou Yang and I moved out as we wished. Maybe I was in a good mood. A month later I became pregnant. Zhou Yang was happy to know that I was pregnant after all. He was not young anymore. When my mother-in-law learned that I was pregnant, she came uninvited with large bags of luggage, saying that you and Zhou Yang are not young anymore, and you will probably only have this one child. I have experience and I will definitely take care of my grandson and make him fat and white. I refused directly. My stomach hurts when I see you. You should go back. You won't be needed after giving birth. Take care of, I will hire a confinement nanny to take care of her. The mother-in-law was furious and scolded me for being heartless and ungrateful. How could others have the intentions of a grandmother like me? This house belongs to my son, and I can live in it if I want. I took out the property certificate and threw it in front of my mother-in-law saying, look carefully, this house is bought by myself, and it has nothing to do with your Zhou family. Get out of my house immediately. In the end, Zhou Yang personally came forward to send the mother-in-law away. I also made my position clear to Zhou Yang. I can't get along with your mother, and she will need someone to take care of her when she is old. I won't go. I will spend money to find professionals to take care of her. They all say that mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are inseparable. The mother-in-law should be good to the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law can be good to the mother-in-law. The child in my belly is the most important to me. I will never let others influence me and thus affect the child. As for the extremely bad mother-in-law, get out of here. The end of the article.